So hey, did you hear that there's a new Goosebumps show on Disney Plus? Cause I didn't even know it was happening until maybe a couple of weeks before it came out. And universally, it seems like whenever I bring it up to anybody I talk to, they didn't know it was happening either. And that's a shame because honestly, it's a pretty good show. And it's a shame that it seems like nobody's talking about it. It might just be in danger of being passed up. And the show really deserves better than that. It needs people out there advocating for it. And then I thought,
hey, me.
So for those of you who've been following the channel for a while, this is probably going to be a bit of a departure from the kind of videos I usually make. This is going to be a less edited take and more just me talking off the cuff with a few notes about why I think you should watch the show. So let's just jump right into that. So the elevator pitch for the show is that it is a serialized ghost story in which the core cast of characters is experiencing these sort of hauntings from various relics that are taken from the original Goosebumps stories. Things like the haunted mask and the camera from Say Cheese and Die. And I think the core strength of the show really lies in its ability to take what makes those original concepts work and update them for an audience that's a little older than I think the target audience of Goosebumps was ever intended to be. And I think that is definitely something worth noting. The tone is very different from what you would expect from the original Goosebumps books. Those were obviously aimed at a much younger audience, but what I keep thinking of in regards to this show is when I was younger and I would see these books on a bookshelf with that incredibly imaginative Tim Jacobus art, you would practically make up these stories in your head about how horrifying the books would be. And due to R.L. Stine's sort of more goofy writing style and emphasis on not scaring the kids too much, it would never live up to the stories you live in your own head. Whereas this show, I think, sort of aims to give you an experience that is more like what you might have expected when you were younger. And the tagline to the show, I've seen in some of the commercials, even lives up to that. Like, the tagline specifically says, "Scarier than you remember." And it should be noted that it's, not some, super edgy gore fest that's, this ain't your mama's Goosebumps. But instead, it's squarely aimed at that sort of young adult audience, maybe something like R.L. Stine was trying to reach with the Fear Street series. And I think it really does toe that line really well. It does maintain some of that goofy writing, but it also, is not afraid to put the characters in real danger. And to give sort of light spoilers for episode 1, which is the Say Cheese and Die adaptation, if you recall from the original story, the cursed camera in that story would sort of predict, these vague misfortunes happening to anybody who had their picture taken by the camera, but it was never oh, this kid's gonna die. Some of the most, dangerous things that happened as a result would be a kid who fell off of the stairs or one who just goes missing. Whereas in the new show, our main character, who is a football player, gets his picture taken of it, and we sort of see in the picture it is predicting that he is going to suffer a pretty nasty gameplay injury. And towards the end of the episode, we do see that come to fruition. We see him get absolutely laid out during his football game, and he gets his arm broken pretty badly. And without sort of zooming in and reveling in the gore, you do see that it is a real injury. You can see the bone sticking out of his arm, which is definitely something that I don't think R.L. Stine would ever really have described in the book, nor would the original show from Fox Kids have shown, on their kids' TV show. And I do think that's, again, a major strength of the show is that it doesn't talk down to its audience. I do think that the show is very largely designed with an audience in mind of people who might have grown up watching the old TV show and grown up reading the books and sort of have these fond memories, but also kind of wished that the show would have gone a little darker and lived up to being a real horror experience. And again, I think it really just captures that really well. And to go on, again, not to give major spoilers, without ever saying like the kids are going to die or anything like that. The show does not shy away from the idea of the kids being in real danger. And the kids are honestly a big strength of the show as well. I think when you watch the first episode, if you're anything like me, you're definitely not going to like them because they do feel like real teenagers. Our major cast, with a few exceptions, are jerks, as kids often are, and you see like that side of them. And it's not that they're completely unlikable, but you know, teenagers are the way they are. We've all been teenagers, and we all know, you know, what people in high school are like. But even in the first episode, you do see glimpses underneath that superficiality of them, of the good people that they are. And so when shit starts to hit the fan, it does put you in their corner. It makes you want to root for them. And I think that's one of the great things as the series goes on, is you do want to see them succeed, and you do want to see them unravel this mystery that sort of gets laid out in the first few episodes that is still unfurling as we speak. As of right now, there's 6 episodes out, and a lot more of the cards are on the table now, and we're able to see where this is going. And because of the good writing of the main cast of kids, you know, you want to see them make it through this. You want to see them figure out what's going on, and without spoiling a lot, even the antagonist has some real depth to him. I really do like what they've done with the story, and it does set some things up at the beginning that you think it's going to go one way, and recently we've seen that, oh, maybe there is a lot more depth to this than I might have initially expected. And going on about the cast, another great addition is actually Justin Long, who I was not expecting in this. Like, as with most things, I went into a media blackout in, like, leading up to the release, so I tried not to watch any trailers or anything like that. So when Justin Long comes on screen the first time, it really took me aback. But I love the man and everything I've seen him in, and much like in Barbarian, which was the last movie I remember seeing him in, he does a great job in bringing this super unique energy to this horror story without really feeling like you are being taken out of it. I think he's given a really interesting role, and he does a great job with that role. It's kind of funny, I mentioned seeing Justin Long in Barbarian, and if I had a nickel for every time I had seen Justin Long in a horror movie where shit hits the fan because of shit that goes down in his basement, I would have 2, which isn't a lot, but it's definitely strange that it happened twice. And while I am talking about the adult characters in this show, I do want to actually touch on the parents of the main teenage cast, because their side of the show actually does give a lot more depth to it. Again, speaking more on episode 1, we do see that the main male lead's father puts a lot of pressure on him as a football player, and more specifically, we see that, like, there's tension between his parents because the father is relying on the main character to get into college on a sports scholarship, whereas the mom is sort of encouraging him to try and put money away in case that doesn't work out. And this sort of tension between these parents that you see that they do try to keep hidden from this character, I don't feel like that's something you'd really see in the original Goosebumps books or the TV show. And I do think that's a big strength of this, is, again, just that not talking down to the audience and just saying, hey, these are real people, these are real things that people have to go through, and these struggles are part of real people's lives, and it makes the whole thing feel a lot more real. It makes the characters feel three-dimensional, it makes the story feel like it has a lot more impact. And when we do get into how the parents' stories intersect with the overall story and the more paranormal aspects of it, it hits really hard, and it's something that you, again, just would not expect just saying, oh, hey, there's a new Goosebumps show, let's see what that's about. And that is where the strength of the show lies, in that it has so much depth, and so much more depth than you might expect going in. And again, like, this isn't some horror masterpiece that people are going to be dissecting for years to come, but I do think that you wouldn't expect that it would have this kind of writing that really sells it as this sort of grounded horror experience. And I do think that for anybody who grew up with the Goosebumps stories, this is the kind of thing we were hoping to get throughout our childhood. And just, to that end, that's why this video exists in the first place. Because again, I don't see a lot of people talking about the series, and I do think that's a shame, because I want this series to do well. I would love to see more interpretations like this. I did love the Goosebumps movies with Jack Black that they made a while back, but I do think that there's room for both interpretations, and I love that this is giving us something that people who were hoping to see a more serious take on some of these stories can get attached to. And so I hope that, if anything, by listening to this sort of weird rant off the cuff thing, I have convinced you that the show is worth watching. Especially, it's Halloween season for like a little over another week. So if you need something to watch, you're looking for something fun that you haven't seen before, I can't recommend the show enough, and I can't recommend the show enough to anybody who did love Goosebumps at any point in their life. So give the show a shot. I don't think you'll be disappointed. With that, this has been a powerfully pointless video, but I hope you enjoyed it anyways. You still here? So hey everyone, it's been 3 years apparently since my last upload. That's crazy. To be honest, I did not see myself ever making another YouTube video again after the last one, especially after the last one. It only got like 67 views at the time of recording, which, I mean, honestly, it's not my proudest video. And to be honest, the amount of work that goes into the videos that I had already made for this channel versus how pleased I felt with them, it's just not something that I really felt feasible continuing to do. So I just kind of fell off it. Like, I don't have a lot of free time at this point in my life that I can pour into making these more highly edited videos. And as somebody who watches a lot of YouTube, I really cringe even calling them highly edited, but more compared to something like this where I'm literally just talking over footage of a video game. But I decided I want to give this another shake, try and just make more videos like this where I'm just talking into a microphone for a couple minutes at a time, throwing some very minimal edits on there and just uploading it. See if people respond to that. I think for nobody else's sake than my own. So if you did enjoy this, please go ahead and let me know in the comments if you would like to see more videos like this. I do have a couple of ideas for things I would just like to get on mic and talk about, even if it's only for a few minutes. I think that more or less wraps it up. I hope everyone's having a fun Halloween season, and go ahead and leave a comment with what your favorite Goosebumps story was back in the day. Mine would probably be One Day at Horrorland, just because, as I mentioned in my Ginger Clown video, I just love spooky circuses and stuff like that, spooky theme parks. And actually, if you haven't watched my Ginger Clown video, go ahead and watch it. It is still probably the video that I am most proud of after my Kamen Rider video just got wiped from the internet. And hey, it's a great video if you're looking for a recommendation for a horror movie to watch before the season is over. So yeah, I will talk to you whenever I make the next video.